as soon as, if he could. He's on call. I'm sure he's busy as well. Bill's on the phone with the Commissioner of Education. I will tell you, since 3:30 this afternoon, it's changed again. So everything changes sometimes within a half an hour. Just everybody, do we need introductions? Everybody knows everybody, right? This is not a school board meeting. So we're not gonna have the open meetings law or anything like that. This is just, Matt and I were processing this yesterday, and I'm really frustrated because we haven't gotten a whole lot of leadership out of state government, and we get protocols and they change. And anyway, it dawned on me that this is not an educational issue. This is not a teaching learning issue. It's a health issue, and it's going to impact our communities significantly. I do need to apologize to some people, some who were clever enough to find out where we were hiding and caught us, Mike over here specifically. I never thought to invite them. I just kind of went through my head, who would be most impacted and who could help me and help us marshal our resources to help us get through that. And Jim now is de facto member of the board because he's one of three that ran for 3 positions, and he's the city administrator, obviously a key player in this whole situation. Maybe a lot more than he ever wanted to be, but he's a key player now. Brady, I mean, whatever we do is going to impact Michael Foods because Michael Foods impacts us. The medical, well, there's Ross. The medical community, I mean, one of the concerns with all of this is that we're going to overwhelm our medical facilities. So I asked Ross to be on board, and the city council, city leadership, school, ESU, Bill will be in. Again, he gets first word a lot of times from the state about what we're looking at. And I neglected to call the media, which was bad on me. I also neglected our religious community, not on purpose, just went over my head. Fortunately for me, there are a lot of people out there working hard to make me not look as bad as I do. And they've been in contact with Jared, and he'll have some things to tell us about how the religious community is going to step up and help us. Here's the latest we know. If we're still in session on Thursday, I think both the governor and the commissioner are going to come up and pay me a visit. Bill just basically told me that. So as much as I love the commissioner, anyway. So we will be, unless something dramatically changes, and again, it has changed 2 or 3 times yet today, Wednesday at 4 o'clock, we will cease doing business as usual. We will not cease doing business. Now, this is going to have, I apologize for being redundant, but this is going to have a major impact on this community. So we need to put our heads together and give my board as much information as you have, as many questions that we can try to seek solutions to that you can come up with, because we're going to meet Wednesday at 7 and make some very hard decisions. We've got personnel decisions to make, we've got teaching decisions to make. If we can farm some of our kids out to the Christian community, can we send teachers there? Are they going to be limited to 10 kiddos? Or can they take more? They've committed to a lot more, and I don't want to get into Jared's. The number one thing that I want to talk about, and I don't have a specific agenda, I think critical to any kind of relative success we have with this is communication. And we need to think about how are we going to communicate between the city, the school, the ESU, and the medical community. We need to let all of those people know if we start seeing people getting ill, or the next couple of days we'll be following our kids. The thing that scares me more than anything is that right now the least vulnerable population are school-age kids. And so what we need to reiterate with our employees, Brady, with our church people, in the media, this is not a snow day. We're not letting kids out so they can go drive around together or meet in the park if the weather's decent and shoot hoops, because if we do, we're defeating our purpose. So we need to communicate. A question I have for the city: we need to survey our kiddos and see how many are in need of internet service, because the internet and the media and the web are going to play a big part in our delivery, especially for our older kids. I know some communities, CenturyLink and some of the other big players, have stepped up and said they will offer some free. Jim, you probably have contact with those people. I know you have more contact with those people. And so we need to be looking into that. I can tell you, Jared and Christy and I have been working, Jared and Christy Foote, our cafeteria lady, for lack of a better term, not very professional, Mr. Moody, but it's the best I can come up with under pressure. Looking at how we're going to deliver, make sure we cover food insecurity. The school board is in a bit of a pickle in that we have over 50% of our kids are on free and reduced lunch, and it's very important by federal standards that we don't identify those kids who are on. So we're gonna have to figure out some way to mask this, or we're gonna have to figure out a way to open it up to all kids and just bite the bullet. And the way it sounds is maybe the federal government is going to allow us to do that, but they still have to work through all of this.
Dr. Moody, we just got an email to address that specifically, and since we are 50% or more, there is a waiver that we need to fill out, that we'll be filling out. And I told Chrissy she needs to take care of that already, and we should be able to get that done tomorrow.
Okay. And then, how do we work together on family support, which I think might be one of the most critical things that we're looking at?
Mike, I can speak what we're doing from
Okay.
Michael Foods to help with some of this. So, as for you guys, this has been changing for us every hour pretty much. So, what we'll be doing, I just got off a call right before I came down here actually. We've communicated with our first and second shifts already. Third shift will be later tonight. The couple things that we're doing to help with the child care, and if somebody was to get COVID-19, we are reimbursing people's pay. We will reimburse it if they get COVID-19 and they're out for that reason. If they're taking care of somebody that may be diagnosed with COVID-19, we will reimburse them also. For the next 2 weeks, we will reimburse people that may have trouble with child care as well. So if they cannot find child care, we will, over the next 2 weeks, cover their wages until they're able to find child care. So there's a couple things I think that helps. One is, you don't have people just sending their kids to school sick over the next couple days because they gotta go to work. I mean,
Yeah.
Hopefully that takes that pressure off of it. But then the other part is, it takes that financial burden off of the families in this community as well. In the time, now we do expect them to figure out some sort of alternative for childcare within 2 weeks. I mean, we can't just indefinitely keep paying for their labor even though they're not at the plant. So they will get no attendance issues, and they will get reimbursed if that's the case. So we did meet with 2 of the shifts today. Nobody really had any questions about it. Everybody kind of understood what we were doing. So I think that will help with some of the community concerns. You know, half of our employees are actually Wakefield addressed. So a big chunk of the farms and the town operations, all, actually, half of them reside in a Wakefield address.
Brady,
Yeah.
do they have to test positive for COVID-19 or can it be a self-quarantine?
Yeah, so that actually came up because knowing the test kits and everything else are a challenge. So the one thing would be is say they come and saw you and you're like, man, they're presenting, but I can't test them, I don't have tests or whatever. That's good enough for us. So then at that point, they would go into self-quarantine and we would reimburse them for that content. So we will work with people as well. So that was a good question because that did come up today actually. So yeah, there's several things that might be, you know, we might have to play by ear as we go, but at this point, we plan on continuing operations as normal. We expect that we may have to slow down in some areas, but we're doing everything we can to support the community's concerns and try to give people the opportunity to work through this without infecting other people in the process if they were to get it. So.
And along those lines, I think if we run into an unexpected roadblock, if you will, or a challenge that we just weren't ready for, or after we get to a point after 2 weeks and you've got a critical mass of your people that just, there ain't nobody there because we're all in the same boat, we probably need to get back together and start looking at, okay, I've got all these people here, maybe we can parcel out and reallocate some resources, but that goes back to that communication. It's critical that we communicate with each other. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the outreach that you're making to your people.
On another note with daycare, I stopped by Humpty Dumpty today, and the directive that they have is they will be open unless they are told to shut down. So that's where they're at as of right now. That may change, but I wanted to find out kind of where they were at as well.
So Ross, one of the things that I had on my list is we're gonna have a building with a lot of room in it. Is there any anticipation that we'll be looking at needing places to quarantine people?
Oh, I would hope not. But at this point, we're telling people to stay home,
Okay.
you know? You really don't wanna put a bunch of potentially sick people all together. Really, you wanna keep people at home. That's the best thing. Really, you wanna keep them from going out.
Well, I always just thought my ultimate dream was to have my own classroom all to myself for 24/7 and just nothing to do and nowhere to go. But I just, like I said, we've never seen anything like this, and just trying to anticipate what some of the needs of the community might be.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in contact with Covenant Church. If we choose to close, which it sounds like we most likely will on Wednesday, the Covenant Church plans to be open from 7 to 4 every day. Initially, they were planning on having 45 kids come over there if they needed daycare or things like that. I don't know if that's really an option. I just contacted them today at about 3:45 to let them know about the number 10, and so that came as a surprise to some people. So that may change things, but at this point, they're still planning on being open for that support. In terms of food at the school level, we have, Christy and I had talked a lot about, we will have breakfast ready to go at 7:30 to 8:30, and it will be a drive-through process. They'll come through Circle Drive, how many do you need, and they'll take them and go home. Then we'll do the same thing for lunch as well. So hopefully that will support some of those pieces. Remember, we do have a backpack program. If you know of any families who do need extra support through our backpack program, we have some ways to provide support there, and we also do have some funding available to help with that. So if you know any families who need that support, let me know as well.
What are the hours of the lunch drive-through?
As of right now, we're looking at 11 to 12:30. And that's very, it's not final by any means, but that's kind of what we're thinking.
Mike, this is gonna be fluid.
Yeah.
We're gonna be,
Understood.
we're gonna be changing
It'll
as
be
we go.
lunchtime.
Yep, you know, and, there, at this point, hopefully, whether the waiver goes through or not, I think Mr. Dr. Moody and I, we've kind of touched base, and we're not gonna take kids as numbers, we're not gonna do that type of stuff, it is what it is, and we'll just figure it out. I mean, that's where we're at this point, so. You know, we can take away that concern of not having food.
What about those kids that, don't have a parent or somebody to drive them to school to get those lunches?
I couldn't hear you.
What about a kid that does not have a parent home, they're working and they're not able to get to the school to pick up lunches?
You know, in town, if kids can walk, great, we could look at some delivery type things as well. We haven't really talked about that piece. There are some districts that are going to do some delivery things if necessary. You know, it kind of depends on how many families that we need, you know, who need the support.
The only answer I had to that is we're gonna be incredibly flexible, and we're gonna do whatever we can within reason to meet the needs of the kids and then their parents. Again, being flexible, and we are getting some guidance from the state that they're easing up on some of the regulations that have kind of bound us before, and have actually recognized that maybe giving people at the local level the ability to make decisions for their own community is a good idea. Been trying to tell them that for 40 years. Took a pandemic to get them there. Jim, anything at the city level that we need to be aware of, or that we can help with, or we just?
One thing that, you know, we've done in the past, whether it be a tornado or a blizzard or snowstorm, whatever, is get a central area where we're gonna call a command post with names, numbers, phone numbers, emails, so we can have points of contact and immediately get some help or support for things. So right now, I think we're just trying to figure out what's gonna happen and work out the best plan. Our biggest thoughts were the kids being out of school and, you know, all of a sudden they're gonna flood the library or some other place. So I guess that's gonna be incumbent upon you guys to say, if you have work or responsibility, maybe that's fine, but if you don't, you know, we need to find constructive things for them to do. That'll be a big challenge, so.
And we are working on some curricular pieces, both at the secondary and the elementary level. Who knows, maybe there will be some digital learning that takes place, you know. We haven't worked out all of those details by any means. At the elementary level, there's some packets that we can mail home to kids or do those types of things. I really talked with my kids today specifically about make sure we're, you know, it's not a fun day. We need to stay at home and, you know, do our things there. And, you know, it's just a lot of parent education, you know, so we'll take some opportunities to do that as well.
The city of Omaha shutting down their libraries.
I've been seeing that around other communities, is they've been doing that or limiting it to the number of kids that, you know, it doesn't all of a sudden become that daycare or just a collection point, you know. So we'll have to take that into consideration and just visit with the librarians and see what we can do.
And if we have kids there that are trying to access.
Learning, yes.
Or trying to access computers there because they can't at home, let us know, and we'll try to cover that so that it's not the library's responsibility.
That was one of the things I was gonna mention. Elizabeth and Craig, Mr. Craig, have a pretty good idea of who is up there studying all the time. If you wanna make contact with them, they can give you an idea of what families don't have anything at home. That'd be a place to start.
I'll take care of that tomorrow. One other thing, just so everybody knows, the health department has recommended limiting visitors to school as well. So starting tomorrow, parents won't be coming into school. It'll be students and staff. There will be pickup points for parents to pick up their kids outside. Not a big deal, but we might have some pushback on that, but I think we'll be okay with it.
And we're gonna be closing the weight room exercise facility, which is truly tragic as well. To have for a place our size as nice a setup as I've seen, and then not be able to access it, but we've gotta get through this, and we're not gonna get through it without some pain.
Is there anything else from the medical, perspective, Ross? Is there anything?
I mean, as far as the school goes, or,
Just
I mean, right now, it's just about trying to stem the spread. You know, that's why we're talking about isolation and quarantines and different things like that, and anybody that's at risk, just stay home, basically. You know, we're learning more every day too, and it's, you know, I mean, there seems to be some people seem to have somewhat a sense of immunity to it. And like you said, I mean, I think the younger kids are obviously the least susceptible. It's a fairly mild virus for them, but really you worry more about the elderly care facilities, the assisted livings, things like that, where if it could get into a facility, you know, like the nursing home, it could potentially wipe it out. So, you know, it may not be so much about protecting the schools as much as everything else. And once those kids, you know, kid gets it, and obviously they go out in the community, you don't know where it's going after that. So, you know, it's just about stemming the tide at this point.
I think the care center's locked down, right?
Yeah.
And the senior center's doing meals,
Right.
so.
And they're bringing meals to their rooms, so nobody's getting out of their
Yeah,
rooms.
really not even-
So when are you gonna start your lunch? Thursday?
I would anticipate probably starting Thursday morning.
And as a group, here's maybe our one last look for. As we distance ourselves from each other, even as expressed or illustrated in this meeting tonight, as we distance ourselves from each other, we also open a new avenue for other kinds of health issues. And in this case, I'm talking mental health issues. And as community leaders, we just need to keep our finger on the pulse. If we see somebody who needs some help, if we see a kid at the library that shouldn't be at the library, you know, we see something that doesn't look right, check it out. Give somebody a call. With school, we'll go down. I'm sure Jim would go down with me if we needed to check something out. I'd rather make a mistake and err on the side of caution than to have to explain to somebody why we didn't do something. So, just the great thing about small communities are we are close and we support each other, and I appreciate you all coming out on a Monday night when I know you've got other things that you'd rather be doing. Keep the lines of communication open. We're gonna be inventing things as we go. I told my staff today, don't focus on being perfect, focus on being patient. And we'll come through this better and stronger and wiser. That's, unless somebody else has, media, I guess
I got one question. It's on the board about the medical and fire, and, you know, how are you all, are you prepared for, I mean, it's kinda hard to prepare for what you don't know, but.
Fire and rescue, we have procedures to follow with the state, so we're gonna go through those tonight at 7:00. Members are, so we're trying to get prepared too and keep the service up, so.
You know, first responders are gonna be critical.
Yep. Where it starts there is the dispatcher finds a lot of information out before we even have to go to the scene. That's where our information starts, with getting good information from the dispatcher. Find out what kind of symptoms this sick person has and if they've traveled, so.
Did they change like their protocol, the dispatcher, like I get a call do you say, have you traveled lately? You know,
They're supposed to find out that information, what's their symptoms, what's going on? Is it, really an emergency, or is it just a sick call? Because
Yeah.
that slows us down.
sometimes you're just an ambulance service and
Right.
sometimes there's trouble.
Right. It's medical or emergency. So we're trying to do our best to get everybody educated, slow down and think. Make sure you take care of yourself first. And that's with all of us. We have to think of ourselves first and then go help the next one. So.
You have,
Dr. Moody, one last thing that I've had people ask, do we have a timeline of, because I know some people have heard, some schools are closing for 3 days, 2 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. There's not a confirmed timeline, correct?
well, unless it's
Unless
changed
it's
in
changed.
Bill's conversation, right now, they're saying 2 weeks.
Okay.
Sunday, the governor and his whole entourage, they said, when Omaha gets 2 cases of community spread, we're shutting it down. Well, OPS will shut down on their own. He said, when we get 1 case of community spread, which means they can't figure out where it came from, in a service unit area, they were gonna shut down all of the schools. Well, Omaha only has 1. There's none that we know of out here, and they changed all that. And the commissioner said, or maybe it was the governor, said 6 to 8 weeks to reevaluate in 2. Well, this Friday, if we go 8 weeks, that's the remainder of the school year. Right now, Bill, what are we looking at? I saw you sneak in. Are we,
Yeah, I did. Hi, everyone.
are we looking at 2 weeks? Is that what they're recommending, or?
Right now, so the latest is that Commissioner and the Governor had a press conference today, that they're saying 2 weeks is the minimum, but most likely 6 to 8 weeks. But reevaluating every 2 weeks. But they want to just make sure that people don't get the false sense of hope that it's gonna be only 2 weeks. Hopefully, that would be the best case scenario, but most likely they're planning for longer than that. So they want everyone to be making preparations for that time frame.
So that probably kills, not probably, that pretty much kills spring activities, including prom and including graduation.
Right now, the latest guidance that they've sent out is 10 people for an event. They're not counting that, I believe, for a workplace area, but for events. So prom would be one.
Graduation, I would have invited all of the people I cheated off of to get through high school at over 10.
Is there anything else, Bill, that you feel we need to be aware of from your calls or your comments?
Right now, the call I just got off of, there's, community spread is quite a bit in Colorado area, so that's why the Western Nebraska schools shut down today. And, this feeling is that because of what's happened in Omaha, that it's just a matter of time, especially with, our proximity to South Dakota and other areas in Iowa. The hope is that they can, by shutting down now and helping, not just shutting down schools, but helping people understand the social distancing piece and the need to stay apart from each other, that there won't be community spread. I mean, that's what they're hoping for, but very likely, the public health department people I just talked to said that they know it's probably already here, they just don't know about it yet. So that's the concern.
I got a question, are we doing the best we can to educate on people how to take care of ourselves and watch the spread? I mean, educate them, wash hands, and if you don't have to make a trip, don't make a trip. Are we doing the best we can, or is there something we can do better? How are we getting information out to everybody in the community?
We started, would say, 10 days ago, publishing things on our school Facebook page, our school website, Twitter, and we do have a in-school information system that we've sent out. So we've been preaching that to our kids for probably the last 2 weeks.
I have sent letters home with every kid in the elementary building. If parents see the letters, that's one thing, but I have sent letters home just about, hey, this is what you can do, what you should be doing. I have a handout that I just got today that I'll send home with kids tomorrow, just to make sure, it's another piece of information.
Public health departments have been really helpful, Larry, with at least working with the schools. Ariane's been a part of that, but providing the same message, consistent messaging, I think is very important. I think the part that we struggle with is school-wise is that we have a limited audience. And so it's the students and the parents, but how far, that gets communicated beyond that is difficult
How we
to
do
know
it.
from our perspective.
How are we doing with the paper? Are we getting it out in the paper?
Run everything they send us. We run it all. This week is pretty much going to be nothing but.
Okay, this week will be huge.
Jim, is it possible to stuff mailboxes? If I have that flyer I'm gonna send home with kids.
Or
can you
send that with utility bills, or, yeah,
Can we
we
do that?
need to talk with Nikki and see what we can do.
I can get that to you tomorrow, that's something you're interested in doing.
Yep.
At least we
Or
can send-
a site to look up,
Yep.
yeah, a site on the bills.
And we can put it on the city's website too, just to try to keep people informed. I think the media's done a really good job. Every time you hear a press conference or wash your hands, stay away from, so I think the media's at least helped in that sense, so, but
I'll get that handout that I'm gonna send home if you guys wanna use that too.
is it translated?
Yes, it is. It's in
Can you
English.
email it to me, Jared?
I'll figure out a way to email it.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a resource we have too, if you need translation.
Could we do something with the radio to make sure that people who maybe listen to KTCH know where to go to see it in Spanish, to see,
I think that's probably
or through the plan, I don't know, Brady, how does that, I know there are regulations or rules, but
I mean, we've obviously communicated
right,
everything
right.
to our employees, and, that's just, for our industry, that's normal procedure anyways, but, today, over the weekend and today, we communicated about, if you're feeling ill, just please stay home, let us know what's going on. The hand washing, that's part of what we do every day, but, in one of the communications that we just sent out over the weekend before we did face-to-face, we, in that it stressed to people that extra hand washing, sanitizing. We've done things, which I know you've all done too, like we do town hall meetings where some of those might have 120 people at them. We've canceled those for the month. And where we're set up, we're pretty spread out in the plant. It's about when we're in break rooms and meetings and stuff is our biggest thing. But so our staff has probably really heard all the same things that the school's been communicating as well. So hopefully
So they have
from
that.
both ends
Yeah.
are getting it, so.
That's pretty much all I have. Again, I thank you for coming out tonight. Stay healthy, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.